The views shared in this program are those of the speakers and may not necessarily reflect the beliefs of Lion and Lamb Ministries. We're honored to walk with you in the pursuit of Scripture and faith in Yeshua the Messiah. Thank you for viewing our program.
Shalom, everyone. I'm Monte Judah with Lion and Lamb Ministries. Welcome to another edition of the Lion Share. We're here at the NRB, and we have the opportunity to meet with Pamela Azaria, who represents the organization Chimes Israel. Let me give just a little bio here for you. She's the International Resources Director at Chimes Israel, and she has over 30 years of business development and marketing expertise in Israel and America. And Pamela has marshaled the resources for Israelis with disabilities through Chimes Israel. Pamela, we have talked with you once before, and we learned at that time that your organization was helping Israeli families that have disabled children. And that's a tough program there to work on. Tell me about that and Chimes Israel and what you're involved with.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Monty, for having me here. It's great to be with you in person. Last time it was on Zoom.
That's right.
Yeah. So what we do at Chimes Israel, we've been around for 35 years.
Okay.
We have 27 centers. We help people through the continuum of their lives, Jews, Christian, Muslim, anybody who needs our services. They get our services, they're daytime services. We have after school. I will start at the beginning of life, which is early childhood centers for early childhood intervention, after school programs, vocational college, employment in our centers, employment in the community, helping people with severe disabilities. We have centers where they go to, and we have wonderful staff who hold their hands and help them have a quality of life, inclusion, dignity. And we also have programs for elderly people with disabilities and people going through mental health crises. We help them get out of the crisis and join the workforce again, and we support them through the work.
Now, help us to understand the classification of disabilities. There's obviously physical disabilities where they can't function, their limbs don't quite work correctly, correct? And then there's obviously some sort of mental or emotional disabilities. Elaborate on that. Help me to understand the range of what you're dealing with.
It's pretty much all disabilities. People with cognitive disabilities, developmental disabilities, those are usually our children. Autism, any kind of syndrome, cerebral palsy,
Right.
Down syndrome, which is the most common syndrome that you see.
That's
but there's a lot
common one.
there's a lot of different syndromes, and any sort of physical disability. We have people with very severe disabilities that have multiples of those things. So it's not just one thing. They could have cerebral palsy and be in a wheelchair and also have a cognitive disability. So that's
So when a family gets one of these children and so they're not really equipped to be able to care for them fully and completely for all they need, and your organization starts getting involved. So tell me, how does your organization get involved with a case like that, and how do you provide help and aid to the family?
So the way that Israel works, it's very social services oriented, more so than the United States.
Okay.
And a child with disabilities, once they're diagnosed, they will be in the system, and then the social services will recommend a place to send them, and we at Chimes Israel, we pioneered an early childhood model because it used to be that children would be diagnosed with a disability, and then the parents are running around um, trying to go to medical doctors, therapists, all kinds of things that they might need for this child. And of course, in Israel, uh, we work. Women work and men work. It's not just the men working. It's a
Right.
this we need both salaries to live. It's an expensive
Right.
world there.
Exactly.
So, so we pioneered a model where all under one roof they get childcare, they get therapy, they get diagnoses, homemade food, because a lot of the children actually, or the food is made there. We have cooks there. Children have eating issues as well. A lot of them do. And parental guidance, including the other siblings and the grandparents. So this has been our model for since 1991, for many years, and we have discovered within the population of children with disabilities, there have been many at-risk families, um, parents who don't have the skills and the ability to take care of their children. They could be dealing with trauma, especially now with the war. We have a lot of families who have had big losses in their family, or
Yeah,
dealing with
almost all of the families have been impacted.
by
Almost
the
all of
war.
them.
Yes, exactly. And we have families in the toughest neighborhoods like Ashkelon, 6 miles away from Gaza,
Right.
who endured the most rocket fire there was, and were out of our centers because they had to close for 4 months or more. And so what we found was, at first we had a program, and it started in Ashkelon, where we kept the children at the centers after hours. So our centers would close at 3, and we would keep the children till 6:37. We'd give them a shower, put them in pajamas, read them bedtime stories, and give them dinner. And so keeping them out of the toxic home as long as possible. But we found out that this was not even a band aid, it didn't solve the
It didn't
problem.
solve the problem at all.
So, and social services were coming to take the children to foster care, and it's a really tough and sad situation. So recently, we came up with a new model where we go into the homes with the children, and we educate the parents. We teach them how to manage their children based on their child's very individual need, and teaching the parents how to interact with their child, how to give them the best environment so they can flourish. It's about transitions from playtime to bedtime to mealtime, how to feed them the best, how to arrange the house so the child has the most independence in the house. And it's been a miracle.
Yeah.
Um,
I know this is not a good comparison, but I immediately had this thought. We have a program over here called the Dog Whisperer, and he's helping dogs that are having problems in their homes. But what he ends up doing is going in and he works with the dog, but he actually works with the dog owner to kind of get them trained on how to deal with the dog correctly. And so I'm thinking,
it's
you
just
guys are
like
going in
that.
and dealing with the parents and training them to deal with the situation, not only the child, but the caregivers, training them how to be a caregiver
Right,
properly
and
for
a
it.
lot of these parents that were in the worst situations did not come to our centers for the parental training that we provided. So, this way it's unavoidable, and they really get what they need. And we've had some incredible feedback. Like, one of the mothers sent us an email saying that it was life changing for them because before we came in to help them, her husband did not communicate, interact, or do anything with the child with disability. He just didn't know how. He was afraid of them. They were fragile. He was afraid to touch him. And once our therapists and our social workers came in and taught him how to interact, communicate, work with the child, it created a relationship that was not
Yeah.
there before. And that is something that would not have happened without our.
Well, caregiving skills is a very powerful skill, and a lot of people don't have that. And a lot of parents, they just kind of give up real quickly, as to how to deal with a disabled child and so forth. I can only imagine with all of the other social stress in the land of Israel, with all that's going on, the burden that must be laying over the top of every family.
Every family.
And
every
then,
family.
then you have a disabled child, or you have this issue that you've got to deal with in your own home, and somehow finding a way to maintain. So it's just incredible
Yeah.
how you guys are coming in and being a stopgap, on the
Exactly.
crisis there.
Right.
And so this new technique of going into the home, as opposed to bringing them into a center, is yielding better results for you.
Not only that, but it's been recognized by the Ministry of Welfare, and our professionals presented it to an audience of their peers. So it's a model that's going to be taken on by the rest of the country, that where we have other centers, because we have 9 centers, and there's really a center like ours in every city now. We were the pioneer of this model as well. So it's a model that will be adopted.
So you've got 9 centers scattered throughout Israel in the major cities. And so how many staff members do you have that are operating?
27 centers altogether
Okay.
that go through the continuum of life, from child to elderly and people with severe disabilities. So I can only say we have about 700 staff, and I don't know exactly how many are in the early childhood centers. But when you go in there, and it could be including the volunteers, because we get a lot of volunteers, you'll see like 2 to 3 adults to every child.
Chimes Israel, founded in 1991, helps people with disabilities use their abilities and skills to lead a life of dignity, independence, and community participation. In Ashkelon, a southern city that's less than 6 miles from Gaza, we provide both early childhood and adult therapeutic daycare services. The Children's Center operates in 4 inadequately repurposed private homes that are full of small rooms and many stairs. During the first 3 months of the October 7th war, thousands of rockets were hurled into Ashkelon. The children could not go to daycare because our safe rooms do not accommodate everyone.
When we were attacked, it was horrible. Everybody's anxiety level went to the sky. There's no time to do anything except prepare yourself for the next run to the shelter.
I've been in contact on phone with some families and help them only on talkings, because I cannot give the children a treatment those days.
We had to develop new methods of reaching out the families and the kids from far. On the same time, some of our educational teams and therapists went to their houses under attacks or between attacks, and so we will be able to actually connect on the face-to-face level, which is the most important thing for these kids.
We saw children in stress. We saw children with the eating disorders, with sleeping disorders. We saw children that got back to infant behavior.
So what we do is now we have an exercise where I run around and say, Azaka, we don't actually sound the siren. And then the kids and the staff come in and they've got to be here within 30 seconds. We don't make it in 30 seconds.
The Ashkelon municipality has granted Chimes Israel land to build and operate a new early childhood center. and plans have been drawn for a building that can accommodate 80 children.
We're dreaming of a new center that will help us provide all our great people and great skills into one holistic places, which will include, first of all, a safe room or a shelter, and new and bigger rooms with better equipment, and that we will be able to develop the kids and also professional team training, and we wish to be number one in the world.
Please donate to enable uninterrupted, high-quality professional services, treatment, education, and support for hundreds of children with disabilities in Ashkelon for years to come. You can give young children with disabilities the start in life that they deserve to reach their potential.
So it's the most incredible care that you could ever imagine for children. And when they finish our centers at 3 and they go into either a regular state-run kindergarten or a special needs school, the parents tell us that it's such a letdown because they don't get that kind of care once they go to the next
The
step.
next level.
Yeah, and they don't get it the rest of their
The
lives.
school's not set up to do
The
that.
schools are not set up. The preschools, which they call kindergartens, there are not set up with that kind of level of care. And our level of care is very professional, very educated. We have physical therapists, speech therapists, occupational therapists. They have eating teams that teach the kids to eat, which has been a godsend for the parents because it's just something they can't get their kids to do, and it's very
Really?
challenging. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, when we interviewed you before, well, we talked about some families that had come in that you had gotten involved with, some from other countries. So, in fact, there was an African family
Yes.
that had come in. Do you still have more families come in from other nations
Absolutely.
immigrating in? And tell me about that.
Yes. I'll give you a story about a family. There's a mother, and she's an immigrant from France.
Okay.
And she met an Israeli man who I'm not sure if his family is an immigrant or he himself is an immigrant from Ethiopia. He could have been born in Israel, but he's of Ethiopian descent.
Right.
And they had 4 children. The youngest child is he has kidney disease, and he came to Chimes because of his developmental delays. He was getting food through a tube. He had every night he had to have dialysis, and
Wow. Very
and then
serious.
and I don't know the situation, but the husband had to go to prison. So she was there taking care of 4 children, one of them with very serious medical condition. And then the war happened. And she's in Ashkelon. Ashkelon got more bombs, more rockets than any other city.
Yeah.
Um,
That's just north of Gaza.
6 miles from Gaza. Um, there were 8-hour power outages. She was truly a mother at risk, truly a family at risk. We helped evacuate them so that they could get.
You got them out of the
We
city?
got them out of the city. We moved them somewhere else so that the child. We saved his life, really. Not only that way, but she ran out of medicine like right after October 7th, and we sent police officers from pharmacy to find the medicine. So that was another life-saving thing that we did. We got the medicine for them and then evacuated them. And then we brought them iPads for remote learning so she could continue his therapy while they were evacuated. And then when they came back, and the preschool started again, we worked with her with families and growth, and we went into her home. We helped her with what they needed to do to help her make her child continue his therapies and do the best that she could for her child in her home. He had a kidney transplant. We gave her money from the program, from the program that we had, that I had raised money for, so that she could live, because it was expensive what she was going through, and she couldn't work at the time while while her son was in the hospital.
Right.
He had a successful kidney transplant and now he's in a regular kindergarten because of all the therapy that we gave him. He was able to get up to his developmental level, and it is such a success story, and we're so proud of it. I feel like we were we were involved in saving his life at least 3 times.
Right.
And just an amazing story, and I love telling it. And I know them personally, and she's such a lovely person, this mother. And now the father is out of prison, and they're a whole family again.
Oh, so things have turned around in that regard.
100%. And her children are adorable. She has the older all the other children are older, smiley, beautiful children. So it's
Well,
great.
as you describe this thing that you guys are involved with, one family, one case to me is just hits me as just overwhelming, as to
Right.
how in the world could you help them and be
Right.
successful, but to deal with all of them that you're having to deal with, your whole organization has to do, it's just amazing. Really, I mean, it's got to be the hand of God helping you guys out,
Thank you.
motivating you and strengthening you, giving you some resolve to continue to be patient and work
Like
through
my
it.
mission in life, I am so dedicated to it because as you said, I had this marketing communications background, and I worked in corporate America. I worked for big consulting firms in New York, and never did I feel so much pride
Right.
that we could do this. And I feel that way for our donors. Like, I feel that our donors are doing the work as well. Because this program, for example,
Well, that's a very powerful way for a donor to do something that's real
yes,
and very specific.
they are doing the work, because without the donors, this program wouldn't exist.
Right.
We have other
Tell
programs.
tell our audience how they can become a donor to Chimes Israel and how they can be a part of this.
Yes. Well, it would be amazing if you would donate to Times Israel. Anything helps us. And the way is to our website. You can just do a Google search for Chimes Israel, ChimesIsrael. Or if you're brave and you can handle this long website address, it's chimesisrael.org.il. And in both cases, you'll see a button that says ENG for English. Go there quickly unless you can speak Hebrew, and then you'll find a complete
Thing on how to donate.
English website with a big donate button. So we can read more about the program.
It's a treat to get to actually meet you now. We had done the Zoom interview, and I really applaud your efforts.
Thank you so
A
much.
tremendous work taking place in the land of Israel. I've seen disabled people, and I know it's a tremendous amount of work to
Yeah.
deal with it.
Well, we're
And for
all
where,
God's
where you're at.
children,
That's
right?
right.
And we all count.
We're all human beings, and God created all of us.
And we have to care for each other.
This
And
is
that's
truly
what
love your neighbor. This is truly
Yeah,
part of that.
and that's what Israel is about. It's what our culture is about. It's what our heritage. It's in our DNA to care for each other, and you're doing it right now just by interviewing us.
Yeah, I
Like, you're
understand.
getting the word out, and I know
Glad to do it.
your ministry that's what you're about. So I thank you for the work that you
You're
do.
welcome. You are most welcome. So, folks, please consider this as one of the candidates for your donations. This is truly a tremendous work of God there in the land of Israel. Pamela, thank you so much for
You so much.
taking some time, spending some time with
Oh,
us
thank
here
you.
at
Thank
the
you,
NRB.
truly. Thank
So
you, everyone.
that's our program, and we'll see you on the next Lions Share program.
Thanks.
Shalom.
The countdown has begun for Tabernacles.
The clock is ticking to register for Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, October 6th through 14th at Bell Cow Lake in Chandler, Oklahoma.
We gather to worship.
We gather to fellowship.
We gather to educate. Join us as we celebrate the promise of the Messiah at Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles, October 6th through 14th at Bell Cow Lake in Chandler, Oklahoma.
Register today at tabernaclesevent.com.
Let the lion roar.